Welcome to Business Review, a daily program that delves into the latest and most significant economic stories. From stock markets to currency news, Business Review covers the most up-to-date developments in the global financial world.
The Chinese President Xi Jinping on Tuesday stressed the importance of employment in the follow-up measures to help people in poverty during an inspection tour of northwest China's Shaanxi province. Xi made the remarks while visiting a community in Laojian Township in the city of Ankang, which is home to 1,346 households that have been relocated from hilly geological disaster-prone or poverty-stricken areas across the town. It is the largest of its kind in the township to accommodate resettled residents. Before moving to Jinping community, the residents of the 11 villages did not have convenient transportation or telecommunication infrastructure and often saw natural disasters hitting the villages. The local authorities implemented this resettlement scheme to provide local residents with facilitation in employment, healthcare, and education. Xi called for a long-term mechanism to give tangible benefits to people, affirming he's confident the government can accomplish all poverty reduction tasks this year. The tea farm that Xi visited has currently been expanded to approximately 80 hectares with standardized tea processing factory built in it. With an annual output of 15 tons of tea products worth over $560,000, the tea farm provides jobs and income for over 300 people from 100 poverty-stricken households. The Chinese president stressed that the year 2020 is the year for China to secure a decisive victory in eradicating poverty, as well as the last year for China to achieve its goals of finishing building a moderately thriving society in all respects.
Prime Minister of Italy Giuseppe Conte said on April 21st the Italian government is working on a new stimulus package worth at least €50 billion to mitigate the impact of the COVID-19, affirming that the measures will be unveiled before the end of the month. The ruling coalition approved last month an initial €25 billion package to help the economy cope with the outbreak. The Italian premier also added a plan to gradually reopen the country. This so-called Phase 2 would be laid out late April, noting that a reasonable expectation is applying it from the month of May. Meanwhile, also in Italy, the government sees Italy's debt-to-GDP ratio surging to between 155% and 159% of national output this year. At the end of last year, the ratio stood at 134.8%. The annual budget deficit is seen rising to close to 10% of GDP. Italy, which sits on a public debt totaling more than €2.4 trillion, has resorted to costly syndicated placements to meet its increased funding needs. The Treasury on Tuesday priced €16 billion of a dual-tranche syndicated bond, with orders of more than €110 billion. It is also considering ways to fuel demand among small investors. Low interest rates in recent years have led the public to gradually reduce their holdings to below 5% of the outstanding debt, compared to 13% a decade ago.
The shopping coupons released by the municipal government of Wuhan and businesses will boost consumption and energize economic development of the central China's Hubei province, the hardest hit in the COVID pandemic. The Wuhan municipal government has released the first batch of shopping coupons worth 500 million yuan, that's about over $70 million, on Sunday to jumpstart the city's economy by encouraging residents to purchase goods and services. The coupons cover a variety of sectors, including food, retail, cultural activities, and tourism. According to official data, there are about 18 million yuan of dedicated coupons released for people with low living allowances and filed households for targeted poverty alleviation. The Wuhan Commerce Bureau said that the business had been quiet from January 23rd to early April due to lockdown amid the epidemic. Zhang Wenbu, Director General of the Commerce Bureau, said the coupons will benefit both consumers and enterprises. The Dean of the Diplomatic Department of Economics and Commerce of Zhongnang University of Economics and Law said the coupons will have a multiplier effect on the economy, adding it means that every 50 yuan of coupons will boost consumption equaling to 15 times or even 20 times of the value of the coupon. Besides the coupons issued by the government, China's e-commerce giant Alibaba online food delivery platform and tech giant Tencent will give out 1.8 billion yuan, about $254 million of coupons from June the 1st to July the 31st. Residents and inbound people in Wuhan can participate in the coupon grabbing events by using the payment app Alipay, online food delivery apps Mutan and Zhongzhong Dingping, as well as WeChat.
Chinese Premier Li Keqiang has stressed confidence in efforts in stabilizing China's economic fundamentals and ensuring people's livelihood in the face of the economic difficulties and challenges brought by the COVID-19. The Premier made the remarks Thursday at a video conference with heads of several provincial regions on the current economic situation, speaking with chiefs of Jilin, Shanghai, Jiangsu, Henan, Guangdong, and Sichuan. Li said, with the COVID-19 pandemic still widely spreading, the economic situations in China and abroad is complicated, urging officials to face up to the challenges and strengthen development impetus with strong confidence. He added work must be done to secure jobs and ensure people's basic livelihood, market entities, food and energy security, the stability of industrial and supply chains, and the smooth running of communities, so as to boost economic recovery and push for high-quality development. The Premier stressed that his government will step up adjustment of macroeconomic policies and make implementation of policies more efficient to offset the impact of the epidemic.
The queue for the food bank grew longer for hundreds of meters out of the shuttered marketplace bordered by tower blocks and down the side of a 4-lane highway barely 20 kilometers from central Paris in France. According to volunteer workers in the suburbs of Paris, the number of people relying on food handouts is rising as a strict lockdown plunges France into its deepest recession since World War II. Before the outbreak, unemployment in the suburbs soared above the national average. As the queue lengthened, as many as 1,600 families would receive food during the day. Mohamed Mechma, founder of the local charity, urged those in line to respect social distancing rules. Due west of Clichy-sous-Bois, in another suburb, another charity was delivering food parcels to households. They say they are shifting 600 a week and is barely able to keep up with demand.
With the holy month of Ramadan, the usually busy food markets in Bangladesh were less crowded on Friday, with many vendors complaining of a fall in sales due to the coronavirus pandemic. Bangladesh has extended a lockdown for 10 more days until May 5th, and the government has ordered mosques to restrict Ramadan prayers to 12 people and banned iftar gatherings. Wholesale fruit sellers at a Dhaka market said there were fewer supplies of fruits from overseas and also fewer customers. Earlier, Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Sheikha Hasina, announced a set of financial stimulus packages worth nearly 1 trillion Bangladeshi taka in all for paying salaries and allowances of workers and employees of export-oriented industries and to support industries including small and medium businesses as well as farmers. The packages include support through increasing public expenditure, widening social safety net, and money supply increase.
The French Finance Minister Bruno Le Maire said on Friday, April the 24th, that France will decide on reopening dates for restaurants and cafes by the end of May, weeks after the slated end of the nationwide lockdown. France's hospitality industry has been the hardest hit by the outbreak, with restaurants and cafes closed since March the 15th. With home working not an option, people working in this sector, many of whom are self-employed or small business owners, had little choice but to sign up for government financial help and count the days until they can start trading again. In his first announcement of lifting the lockdown, President Emmanuel Macron said that while some businesses would be reopening on May the 11th, that would not include cafes, restaurants, and other tourist sectors. He also mentioned museums, cinemas, and major tourist destinations as having a delayed reopening date. The government has ruled out restaurants and cafes reopening straight after the lockdown was lifted on May the 11th. Le Maire said the persisting closure is a human shock for the industry, adding that the government pledges a total mobilization to support business owners, including an extension of the temporary unemployment scheme for workers in the sector. The junior foreign minister, Jean-Baptiste Lemoyne, added that tourism is a national priority for the French government.